In this green belt challenge, we are comparing the percentage of on-time performance across 3 different suppliers. You've rated this as pass, fail, or marginal. The file we'll use is called attribute data, and because this is a multiple structure and we are comparing proportions, we'll use the tool called chi-square. Our alternative hypothesis is set up like before, that at least one of these groups is different. And the null hypothesis will be that the percentage on-time performance is the same for suppliers A, B, and C. Let's open our file and get started. So in this file called attribute data, we have the last 200 deliveries from each of the 3 different suppliers. And we've summarized this into a table. Pass is where the supplier delivered on time or early. Fail is where they were definitely off, and marginal was they were close to the delivery time promised, but they really didn't make it. So this is summarized data. It's not in a file like you see in patient data. Therefore, we qualify to use the tool called chi-square analysis two-way table data. So we simply select that. The table is then selected. When we click Next, it creates the analysis for us. As in any of these statistical tests, we go to the p-value. Our null hypothesis was that all 3 suppliers have the same on-time performance. The p-value is low, therefore we reject the null. At least one of these guys is different from the other. Now we go back to the table and we're going to take a look at what this is trying to tell us. As before, the observed counts are really just a copy of the table that you provided to Sigma Excel. It's what actually happened in your sample. The expected counts are the numbers we would expect to see if all suppliers were performing exactly the same. You'll notice in this table that all the numbers for pass, fail, and marginal are exactly the same for each supplier. It was not that way in the demonstration because the sample sizes for each group in the demonstration were different. Here we have exactly 200 samples for each supplier, therefore those numbers are exactly the same. The last table is called the Standardized Residuals. This follows an odd formula, but here's what it is doing. It is taking the observed count minus the expected count over the square root of the expected count, and it gives you a number. So what? Well, when you have complex tables like this and you want to know exactly which cells are different, which cells should we focus on in our analysis, we look at the standardized residuals and we're looking for the largest numbers that we can find. In this case, for supplier C, we have 2 large numbers. For supplier B, we also have 2 large numbers. And supplier A, we also have 2 large numbers. Therefore, those are the cells we're going to concentrate on as we walk through our table. Let's start with supplier A. For supplier A, the standardized residuals are telling us to look at the cells called pass and fail because they have the highest numbers. When we look up at the expected counts for A, we see we expect 150 passes and 28 to 29 failures. In reality, we have 160 passes and only 20 failures. This is better than anticipated performance. So supplier A gets a little happy face. This is good. This is better than anticipated performance. For supplier B, the standardized residuals are telling us to look at passes and marginals. For supplier B in the expected counts, we expect 150 passes, 21 marginals. In reality, we are only seeing 140 passes and 30 marginals. This is slightly worse than anticipated performance. For supplier C, it is telling us in the standardized residuals analysis to look at failures and marginals. That's where the high numbers are. In looking at supplier C, we expect 28 to 29 failures and about 21 marginals. In reality, we are seeing 36 failures and 14 marginals. So we have worse than anticipated performance with supplier C for failures, better on marginals, better than anticipated performance on marginals, but worse on failures. So to summarize, the p-value is telling us they are not performing the same. If you have to stick with one supplier, supplier A has the best performance out of this group. Hopefully your answers match that. Let's go back to the material and learn some new things.